In this quick short video, I'm going to show you how I do my editing in DaVinci Resolve and also with a plugin called DEHANCER Pro, which will give you a fantastic, very old school film look with the beautiful grain, halation and bloom and more stuff. Generally, just to let you know, I'm not a heavy editor. I'm more like a quick and easy and fast editing guy. Therefore, I don't really care about the log file or flat profile. I keep my camera in automatic. I just make sure that everything is in focus and has good color already, and also just subject is nice. I'm gonna give you a good example of what I mean. For example, if you look at each image, they all look pretty much basic shot and nice color, nice contrast. They're not flat at all. They're not log file, but at least it's interesting because I'm going to talk about a city in Poland called Gdansk. So idea is my priority is always, and always have been, is the story itself. I care less about the quality of the image, more about the story itself. So I'm going to drag and drop all of it, for example, in the timeline, except the one that I just did. Right now, no, I think the timeline, I'm trying to drag and drop, but it cannot gonna work. So that, I don't have the music over there because it's a drone shot, but you can see that none of them, especially the DJI and the GoPro, don't have exact same color, but it doesn't really matter. Again, I'll tell you, my philosophy is that I don't really care. They're almost close enough. It works for me. And I'm curious to see exactly what would be the result in the end. And that's it. The DaVinci Resolve has a fantastic tool to match color. So you can match color by just a few clicks. I couldn't care less. So that's my first step. Followed by, even with the DEHANCER, I don't go to heavy, hours after hours of, nitpicking with all the stuff. I mean, there are many things, but at the end of the day, my family, my friends, and my viewers in YouTube, I don't think they really care about how you edited the image. They would rather care about the story itself. They want to know all about a place that I have visited, which is Gdansk, for example, or if that was in Italy, they would like to know about the country itself. So for that, my priority, and always will be, is that to make sure the images are clean, they have beautiful color. That's what I like to say, beautiful color, and that's about it, honestly. Everything else is just a matter of preference, matter of taste, and each are their own. For me, honestly, couldn't be bothered. Now, so I did adjustment clip on top of that. So I'm going to apply my effects and editing on it, not at the same timeline. It saves a lot of time for me. Then, typical way I do is to make sure that my white balance is right. So I take the dropper, I click on the sky because generally they tend to be the grayish. So make sure that that's exactly my editing point. So sky is always works well. If you take the drop and put it on, for instance, normally it's supposed to show you, or when you move the dropper, I'm going to try to make sure that it's somewhere nearby. There you go. Perfect. So I'm going to leave it there. When I move the dropper, you see that something is moving on the side. You see that once I move the dropper on the sky, the red, green, and blue generally almost at the same section. So that's generally tend to be more neutral. So you use that as a reference point to make sure that you do your white balance. Right, so that's done. Then typically after that, because the exposure is pretty much in automatic, and the newest GoPro and DJI, they do a phenomenal job in order to make sure that exposure is doing well. So I don't care much about it. I'm gonna make some more room on the side. Right. Now, in the second node, we can actually create the second node by right-clicking and add node, or Alt S in Windows. I don't know about the MacBook. You can figure it out. Then pretty much straight away drag and drop. And immediately you'll see that it applied a default kind of effect on it, which for me doesn't look that bad, to be honest. You know, if I do full screen and try to go through, you know, it does not look that bad at all. I would add some more bloom or halation to give some more soft look. But overall, it does look good. Now, if I want to change, how would I do that? So I would like to go back to somewhere where I have the shadow, midtone, and highlight as my reference point. Then starting from the right-hand side, go with input. Generally, Rec 709, if you're using the normal camera with the normal shot. Unless you're going to the high-end camera, then you manually select your camera, RE, Blackmagic, DJI, Canon, whatever, and then select your format. But for this one, I will keep to Rec 709. Diffringe enabled. This usually is a good idea because, you know, camera can give you a lot of fringing. Sorry. Now the film, we can select a bunch of film stock. I would love to take something like red and fade. I think Adox is a good choice because this tends to be a bit more bright, which is not a bad idea, but I like it a bit more mute color. So that takes a lot of time. Black and white, not for now, probably one day. Cine still, yeah, it still looks a bit more punchy. You know, each different look for different time. But for now, not the Cine still. Eterna, nope. Brelia, probably not. Velvia, definitely not, because it's going to be extra punchy. I think Natura could be the one, but I think I'm going to go back to Afgha. But I'm going to try a little bit something else. Arrow color. Nah. Can't be happy when you have too many choices, to be honest. So Kodak Vision. $250D. 200T looks nicer. It's soft, but I think I'm going to again go back to the super soft. I'm just scrolling quickly, doing a quick scroll. Wait a second. Polaroid looks good. Polaroid looks good. I'm just going to go click P and see if that a good choice or is giving a global look overall. Probably a little bit dull. You know what? I'm going to go back to the very first Afgha color. I'm going to go back to a previous node and raise the midtone just a touch. Just a touch. Probably control the highlight a little bit. Right. Now, globally, I'm happy about it. I'm happy with my choice. That now I'm done. Then we can do push full. Obviously, if you go toward push, what it does, it will get some shadow. But if you go to the pull, it will reduce the highlight. At this point, not probably necessary. Now at the expand, you can control the black point and white point. For instance, I have a better example somewhere, probably here. So we can either reduce black point or add more contrast. Up to you. Probably going to go backward a little bit. White point, it impacts the highlight to higher mid-tone. Probably a bit more brightness. And probably I will go back. There's a saturation somewhere. There you go. At the print section, I can play with the exposure. I don't necessarily need much of exposure because exposure seems to be working for me very well. Tonal contrast, for that, I'm going to go somewhere more contrasty. I think somewhere here, because you see that the sky looks much brighter, but the ground looks darker. So there, I can play with the tonal contrast probably, and then, reduce the contrast just a little bit. Color density, they can add some more color or reduce the density of a color if you want. Saturation is at 100, so I'm not going to play with it too much. Color head, that's an interesting one because you can play with the color head because it plays with the 4 color CMYK, if I remember correctly. I always forget that name. But essentially, you can play with this yellow, blue, magenta, green, cyan, and red. Or you can come back down to curve section, for example, here. And see if I could make it a little bit small to make you see it properly. Click this button and then click red. So more red or reduce red, and that would give you green, cyan, bluish look. I'm using at the mid-tone, but you can do the same thing at the highlight section or shadow area. Same goes for the green. Green, I meant to say. So therefore, reduce the green, which will give you red or pink tint, or more green globally. Same goes for the blue. You get the idea though. So less blue, therefore more orange, yellow, or more blue, so more cold. All right. Or, as I said, we can come back to the color head and play the slider instead. More yellow or more blue. I would go for more yellow, I guess, because I like the yellowish look. Magenta and red, not much. Probably a touch red, just a touch. And you see, my computer is very slow, but if you edit that way, generally, you can get away with a slow computer. You don't need the ultra-fast computer. You can just look at the screen. Time to time, you can press P, and that will give you a full screen look. It's possible with the slow computer. Rest, I don't care. As you see, I told you already that I don't really care about my editing process. It's very easy, quick. As long as it looks good objectively, in my eyes, I'm happy with it. I just have to make sure that exposure is good in focus, and nothing strange going on. And end of the day, it's for YouTube, or it's not a high production, but by doing so, I get to know and learn about my tools anyway for the professional work. So film grain, I'm going to zoom in quite a bit, and then pay attention to this dropper. I don't need it. So no film grain, yes to film grain. No film grain, yes to film grain. What I'm going to make sure that my scopes are next to you so that you can see it properly. Probably those two are easier. And vector scope. Right. So pay attention to the histogram. So without film grain, with film grain, without film grain, with film grain, and same with the screen. You get the idea now? Makes it nice and soft and globally diffused. Now, I personally love grain. So I'm going to raise the size, raise the amount to 50 to make it crazy grainy, because I love grain, as I told you. But now, here's the fun part. Film resolution, I personally don't care, but is the quality of the grain. You can see that it's changing. But I'm going to go backward to make it more softer even. Now, you can add your grain to just specifically to shadow or dark area. Same goes for the midtone. You can choose to just keep your grains to midtone, or just keep it to highlight or reduce from highlight, as you chose. You can see that more I'm moving, the histogram, the parade, is moving in the highlight area. Did you notice that? Perfect. I'm keeping it all, to be honest. I don't care. For the rest, couldn't care less. Halation, again, I'm going to zoom in quite a bit. Pay attention to the parade and vector scope. Probably vector scope, I'm going to change it to histogram. Much better. Now, if I turn on, there is a change in the histogram and parade. Now look at the screen. So halation makes especially the high light source better. Look at the line here, especially. Turn on, turn off, sorry. Turn on. So it's impacting especially the edges, with the diffusion. So I'm going to keep it as it is because I like the edges so much. It's unbelievable. The hue, probably I would add a bit more hue because it's just in your face. Probably the impact all the way to 100. Amplify, I don't know, probably, yeah, why not? Screw it. So again, before, after. I'm gonna go closer. Before and after. Now, going to the bloom. Where is my bloom? There you go. Again, pay attention to the histogram and parade. With, without. So with, it does give you again another kind of soft look all over the place. You know what I mean? So would I keep it? Probably, because it's like a good memory. So I would keep it and I would exaggerate a little bit too much. Because, it's my project, so why the fuck not? Now, vignette. It will reduce the overall exposure, but that's fine. I like it. The film breadth is fantastic because it actually looks nice when you go back and forth, because it makes the film moves a little bit. Back in the day, it used to happen a lot, and sometimes the contrast changes, image by image, color changes image by image. The period, I would say every second, or probably Yeah, every 3 is fine. I'll keep it. Gate wave. You see that it's zooming a little bit. Do you know why it's happening? It's because that back in the day in the cinema hall, when they used to play a movie directly from the film used to move because of the rotation. So it gives you the more or less the same kind of impact. Probably I'm gonna go a bit more crazy with the transition. Impact to 100, rotation a bit more just to make it look crazy. Right, after that, our output, output is essentially, how do I say it? Output is essentially the opacity. So nothing all the way to 100. Nothing all the way to 100. So that's pretty much it. After that, if you want to save it, you can save it as a LUT generator. By the way, just to let you know, I am using an old version of DEHANCER Pro, the 4.1.0, because the newer version is actually crashing on my computer. So I decided to go back to the older version because they give me exactly how I prefer. And to be honest, in the end, if it works, it works. New versions and new stuff, it's not necessarily a gimmick to me, but it's nonetheless something that I wouldn't care less unless I have a production house with a big computer and I'm working for money and it's a month's length of project. For now, it's just memory, going back to the memory lane. It helps me a lot to, enjoy. So therefore, I keep it that way. I hope you like this video. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. And I hope that you learned something. And if you like so, please comment in the comment section below. And we are ready for the result. There you go.